Good morning, everyone. My name is Pratik. I'm an application engineer here at Prolim, and today I'm going to be conducting this webinar, which includes what's new in Solid Edge 2022. In this section, we will go through the new Assign Capture Fit feature, and then we will go through the decals and the Gusset enhancements. First, we have the Assign Capture Fit feature. This new enhancement feature enables to auto-assemble the components using the Manage Relationship window. We will be demonstrating how to place the spotlight at 6 different locations, which is going to help us to save some clicks using the Assign Capture Fit feature. I'll hop into Solid Edge real quick. So this is the bulldozer cab assembly we have. First, I'll go ahead and activate the assembly. Once the assembly is activated, from the parts library, I would scroll and open the part in a new window, which I want to place at 6 different locations using the Assign Capture Fit feature. So this is the spotlight that we will be placing at different locations. So to use the Assign Capture Fit feature, I would come to Tools and select the Assign Capture Fit feature. So once you select that, there are a bunch of options that you have in the Manage Relationship window. First, you have the option to create a new group, then you have the option to edit a group, and then you have the option to delete a group. So as you can see that a group has been already assigned to this particular component. The name of the group is Spotlight, and then the mates have also been assigned. That is, the first you have a facial mate, and then you have axial mates. One thing to note here is that the order in which the mates have been assigned should always remain the same for all the components that you're planning to use the Assign Capture Fit feature for, and the name of the group should also remain the same. So we'll just quickly demonstrate how to use the Assign Capture Fit feature on a component. So I'll come back to the bulldozer cab assembly right here. Before I move out, as you can see above Pathfinder, there's a small window where you have the option to type the name of any component from the Pathfinder, and then it automatically highlights the component. So this is also a new enhancement that has been introduced in this software. So I'll just open this component in a new window. Again, the workflow is the same. You come to Tools and then go to Assign Capture Fit feature. So in this, one section has been already assigned the mates. So our goal here is to assign mates to the other section, which is this one. So in order to do that, I'll first create a new group and change the name of the group to Spotlight. And then I'll assign the mates. So first I'm going to assign the facial mate on this face, and then assign the 2 axial mates. So once that is done, I would come back to the bulldozer cab assembly and drag and drop the component into the active workspace. So once I do that, you can see that the Manage Relationship window pops up where the mates can be seen. So to snap this spotlight at different locations, you can just hit the Identify Targets, which will automatically snap this spotlight at different location where the same mates have been assigned with the same relationship group. So as you can see, once I hit the Identify Targets, the spotlight automatically snaps at different locations, and which definitely helps us to save some clicks. If you hit this green dot right here, this green dot is basically going to help you to add or remove a component. If you want to remove or add a component at the same time, then you can hit T on the keyboard, which is going to help you to add or remove components at the same time. So this was the new assign capture fit feature in Solid Edge 2022. Now we'll have a look at some of the decal enhancements. Now with the new ability of decals, we have the option to add decals within the assembly itself, unlike in the previous versions where you had to open the particular part in the part environment and then add the decals. Apart from that, we'll also have a look at the new option called label during the demonstration. So this is the jigsaw assembly I have in front of me. As you can see, we are in the assembly environment. If you come under view tab, you have the option for decal. The workflow is here going to remain the same. I'm going to use the default settings for now, which is the planar projection. I'll just browse the image which I want to place on the particular surface. So now I'll just select the surface on which I want to place a decal. And hit OK. So I also have the option to resize the decals and move the decal around on that particular plane. So I'll just resize this decal to fit on that particular plane. Apart from this, we also have the option to use the 2D face relates. So I'll just use the horizontal and vertical command right here. I'll select the midpoint on this particular edge and midpoint on one of these edge, and then again I'll select midpoint this edge and the midpoint on the adjacent edge. So as such, I've added decals on a particular face within the assembly. So this was one of the enhancements in decals. So I'll just come back and change the configuration to only the motor mode. So in the previous versions, when we used to place decals on a cylindrical surface, so I'll just use the default settings for now. I'll use the planar projection, browse the image that I want to place. I want to place the warning sign on that particular cylindrical surface of the motor, hit OK. So I'll just select the exterior surface of the motor, and then I'll select the reference plane, which is going to be my right plane. So I'll just resize this so that it fits on this particular surface. So once I close the sketch, as you can see, this warning sign has been placed on this particular face, but also the warning sign has been placed on the other side as well. So in the previous versions, we did not have the option to remove this other particular sign, because if we remove this sign, the other sign would also disappear. But now you have a new option called label. So we'll just quickly see how to use the label option. We'll just hide this decal and now come back to the decals, use the label options. Again, I'll go ahead and do the same workflow, browse the image and select the face on which I want the image to be placed. So it's going to be the exterior of this cylinder right here. So as you can see that the decal has been placed on this exterior surface. So to resize the decal according to the dimensions, you have the option to use a decal display step, where you have the option to adjust the height, width and other measures like that. So as you can see that the decal has been automatically changed. I'll just give it an angle of 90 degrees and then flip the orientation of the decal. So once I finish this, as you can see, the decal has been placed on only one side of the cylinder and not the other side. So these were some new enhancements in decal. Now we'll have a look at the new Gusset enhancements. The new feature allows you to add gussets in the assembly in both synchronous as well as the ordered environments. Also, you have the option to add gusset plates on both flat as well as cylindrical surfaces. So we'll now just quickly demonstrate how that is done. So this is the assembly that I have in front of me. To add the gusset plates, you can come to create parts in place. If you hit this drop down, you have the option to add the gusset plates. So once you select that, you get this option here. Here you can select the material that you want for gusset plates. So here I can select the material to be stainless steel, and then I have the option to give the dimensions. So I'll just give it the dimensions of 70 by 70, and then I also have the option to apply the thickness. So I'll just keep the default thickness as 10 mm, and then I have the option to orient the gusset plate. I can change it from centered to left or right, and once I'm satisfied with my results, I have to hit OK and select the two faces on which I want the gusset plates to be placed. So I want my gusset plate to be placed on this and this flat surface right here. Then hit OK. Also, apart from that, I have the option to give it an offset. So if I decide to give it an offset of 3 mm, I have to just hit 3, and then I have to decide the direction with this red arrow towards the left or right. So this is one way in which you can add gusset plates. Apart from this, we can also add the gusset plates in the frame environment. So if we come to tools and hop into frame environment, so under frame subgroup, you have the option to add a gusset plate. So I'll just select this gusset plate. Like I mentioned in the presentation slides, we have the option to add gusset plates on a cylindrical surface as well. So I'll just change the dimensions like this and hit OK. So now I can select the cylindrical surface and then the planar surface. So to place the gusset plates, I have to define the coincident plane. So in this case, the coincident plane is going to be this plane right here. And once that is done, I have the option to add gusset plates like this. So these were some new enhancements in gusset plates in Solid Edge 2022. Now we'll look at some of the enhancements in the simulation environment. So in simulation environment, we have a new command called the hydrostatic pressure, and then we will look at some of the beam enhancements. First, we will look at the new command called the hydrostatic pressure, which has been introduced in the software. This new command helps us to apply the fluid pressure in a simulation environment, which was not an option in the previous versions. It also gives us an option to decide the height of the fluid, and we also have the option to use gravity as a load. So we will just quickly demonstrate how to do this. So under structural loads, we have a new option called the hydrostatic pressure. So once you select that, the first step here is to do a phase selection. So I'll just use the quick pick command on the cylinder and select the phase where I want the fluid pressure to be applied. Then I have the option to select the height of the fluid, which is going to be this in my case, and then I have the option to decide the density of the fluid. In this case, I'm going to change the density to the density of oil, which is 872. So once I'm done with that, you can see the hydrostatic pressure has been applied to the inside of the cylinder. Now I'm going to apply some of the fixed constraints. on these four faces, and then I'm going to use mesh. Also, in this new version, you have option to use body mesh, which will help you to perform a better mesh in intricate parts of the geometry. So I'm going to hit mesh and solve. So this is what we get after the mesh and solve has been completed. And this was a new command called hydrostatic pressure in the simulation environment. Now we will have a look at some of the beam enhancements. So in SolidWorks 2022, we have the ability to add rigid links within the frame environment. These links can be added manually as well as automatically. We will just quickly demonstrate how these links are added. So here I have a beam structure in front of me. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to start a new study. So under options, I have the option to decide the maximum rigid link length. So in this case, I'm going to use 50 mm and then hit OK. So once I'm done by defining my body, these dark blue lines are going to be your rigid link lengths. But as you can see, these link lengths are missing in some of the sections right here, like this. So these can be added here. Under the simulation tab, you have the option to add the rigid links manually. So first we will demonstrate how to add them manually. So in this case, I'm going to increase the rigid link length from 50 to say 150. And once I'm done with that, the workflow for this is first we select the link, then we select the endpoint on the link, then we select the adjacent link to which the rigid link is supposed to be connecting, and then we decide the point where we have to place a link. So as such, the rigid links can be added manually within the beam structure. Also, we have the option to add the links automatically. So just below this manual option, you have the auto option. So in this case, you have to select the maximum rigid link length. So in this case, I'm going to keep it same, say 150, and then I'm going to select the entire body, and then hit OK. So now you can see that the rigid links have been created everywhere. So this was one of the new enhancements in the simulation environment for SolidWorks 2022. Now we will have a look at the two new commands that have been introduced in the software, that is the equation driven curves and the radiate command, and then we'll finally have a look at the solid sweep enhancements. So first, the equation driven curves. In this new command, we have the option to create different types of curves, or also we have the option to use the pre-existing curves that are given by SolidWorks in the software. Also, we have the ability to give the start and end parameters. In this case, the start and end parameters are going to be T1 and T2. So we will just quickly demonstrate how to create this wave spring type of curve using the equation driven curves. So in front of me, I have a new part file. This new command can be found under the 3D sketching tab. So under 3D draw group, you can find this command called the equation driven curves. So once I select this, as I mentioned previously, we have the option of save curves. So we have different options like helix. We have option like slinky, spring type structure. And in case if you want to create your own curve, you can just use the equations. So in this case, I'm going to create a wave spring curve. And also I have the option to give the end parameters. So in this case, I'm going to use start from the origin and give it a height of 40 mm. So as such, I have created this nice looking wave spring using the equation driven curves. So this was a new command that was introduced in the software recently. Now we will have a look at the new radiate command. So with the radiate command, we have the ability to move all the coaxial faces at the same time, and also we have the ability to use the move faces command, which we do not have to radiate. So this command is only for synchronous technology. So we'll just quickly use this command and see how it works. So I have a part in front of me here. So this new radiate command can be found under evolve drop down. As you can see here on the screen, we have the new radiate command. So the workflow for this is you will first select all the coaxial faces. So first I'll select this face right here, and then we have an option which will automatically include all the coaxial faces to that particular face that you have selected. So I'll just use this command, and now I have the option to move the use the move face step command. So here I have the option to move the faces. So I'll just select all the faces that I want to move and not radiate. So I'll just select the faces. In this case, I'm going to select this face and this face right here. Next, I'm going to select these two faces. Apart from face, we also have the option to move a particular feature. So on the drop down, I'll select feature and use these two features to move. And this one. So once I'm done with that, you see this steering wheel pops up. So if you select the steering wheel and move it with your mouse, you have the option to radiate all the coaxial faces at the same time. So this was the new radiate command that was recently introduced in the software. And now finally we will have a look at some of the solid sweep enhancements. In the previous versions we had some issues with the solid sweep cut command. To resolve these issues, a new option has been introduced, that is the place tool normal to surface in SolidWorks 2022. So we will just have a quick demonstration how to use this new option. So in front of me I have a part file on which we'll be using the solid sweep cut command. So the workflow for this in the previous versions, and this still remains the same, where you select the path, then you select the tool body, and then you select the revolve around axis. In the previous versions, this is the error message that we used to get, which said that the swept body is invalid. To resolve this issue in SolidWorks 2022, we have this edit option. So we simply click edit, and now we have this new option called place tool normal to surface. So you just have to activate this option and hit preview. So by doing this, you get this nice sweep. So you get this nice sweep cutout. So this is one of the solid sweep enhancements in SolidWorks 2022. And that's the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for attending this webinar and have a great day.